Hey everybody, it's Dr. Adam with My Family Chiropractic coming to you to talk to you about tonight's class. And yes, we're a little bit early, and it's always recorded, so come back and check it out when you get a chance. So tonight's class is all about kids and chiropractic. Why am I so adamant about getting kids checked? Well, I want them to have a better life than I had. And I'm sure as a mom, a dad, a uncle, an aunt, an elder of some manner, you all want our youth to have a better life than we all had. One of the best ways to do that is to know that they will function at a much better rate and have a lot less arthritis than we have. And how does that happen? Well, we know that abnormal function causes arthritic formation. Well, what's the best way to ensure normal function? Well, to get checked and get adjusted if needed. And if we start that at an early age, we don't end up developing arthritis. You see, science has proven that our spine is not supposed to start breaking down until well over 100 years of age. And we see that in some of our patients. We see 70-year-olds that come in and they're in phase 1 degeneration. We ask them, well, how is this possible? Well, they've been under chiropractic care their entire life, since birth, or since a week or two after. It is recommended that children are checked once at birth and once a week thereafter. Now, notice I'm not saying that they get adjusted at that frequency, but they get checked for subluxation. Initially, kids with no complaint typically don't need to be adjusted very frequently. The more they start doing things like playing soccer or football or riding bikes, learning to walk, all of that type of stuff, it adds impact. You see, by the time a child is 4 years of age, they've had over 4,000 impacts to their spine. That is a lot of impacts. Some of those, a little less than half, are traumatic in nature. That would be a fall. That is not good when you think about that. And those are left uncorrected for years or decades, if ever are corrected. Then we look at things like when kids are born with vacuum extraction, or they're born with hands-on or cesarean or what have you. It's been proven that when children are born completely unassisted, so this would be like a water birth where they are born completely unassisted, 80% of those children are born with a subluxation at C1 and C2, those top two cervical vertebrae, which, by the way, surround your brainstem, cause a lot of pressure on eustachian tubes, cause things like ear infections, and can even lead to things like sinus pressure or even colic. So it's amazing how children born completely unassisted have a high rate of subluxation. When hands go on, whether it's a doctor assisting out of the birth canal or vacuum extraction or other things like forceps happen, it is 100% of the time they are subluxated. So yes, getting your kids checked will make a huge difference in their life going forward. The more they get checked, the more opportunity you have to correct a problem. I had a patient earlier today ask me, well, explain to me why these adjustments don't hold forever. Well, it's simple. If we think of it this way, your alignment has been out for years, decades maybe. And if you had an alignment that was out for thousands of miles on your car, what would those tires look like? Well, they wouldn't be flat. They'd be worn one side over the other. They would definitely not be in good shape. Well, if I correct the alignment of your car, but I don't change the tires, would your alignment go back out? Yes. It would take time, but it would go back out. Well, your bones are your tires of your body. They get worn, and when they're worn in an abnormal motion or abnormal movement situation or scenario, they cause those bones to wear unevenly, and therefore they will pull the bone back out. The goal of chiropractic is not to correct the bone so that it wears evenly 100%, because a lot of times that's impossible once a patient reaches a certain age, and that age is skeletal maturity. That's different for everybody, but roughly between the ages of 17 and 24. Somewhere around there you'll reach skeletal maturity, depending on your gender, depending on environmental factors and a whole bunch of other things, and genetics as well. So when we look at that between roughly 17 and 24, and I might be off on those numbers a little bit, your bones will fully fuse or form. Okay, fuse in this term doesn't mean two bones growing together at once. It means one bone that has gaps in it, we call them growth plates, will completely fuse together, and that bone becomes one solid mass. If we can correct the alignment sooner than later, before that happens, well, then those bones don't wear unevenly, and we don't have abnormal movement or function. It's amazing when that can happen. It's amazing what will happen to the body longevity-wise after that. You're going to hear Pixie right now, because apparently the dog next door is a little grumpy, and so Pixie's a little loud. I apologize. So when we look at all of that, we have to look at what is the best opportunity for the patient going forward. Well, the best opportunity is to get checked as soon as birth, and to get checked regularly for subluxations. How many times, moms, dads out there, how many times has those kids bumped their head, or, let's be honest, how many times have you pulled them out of the car seat and thwopped their head on the bar? Or tried to put them into the car seat and didn't quite make it 100%. It happens. You're not a bad parent because of it. You're a great parent. You're trying your best. You don't do these things intentionally. And those things add up to trauma on the spine. Get them checked. The wonderful thing about our office, we love to see kids. We celebrate with you and with your children when they don't need to be adjusted. That's a fantastic thing. I love seeing kids that don't need to be adjusted. And we still check them, because you never know. You see, only 6% of your nerves feel pain, so how would you know if something is wrong if you're not knowing exactly how many degrees of motion you're supposed to have in every range of motion in your body? I even have to look some of those up. Or if you don't have pain with every movement, right? If you only 6% of your nerves have pain, you may be severely subluxated and never even know it. We also talk and teach you that only the weight of a dime is all it takes to change a nerve's function level by 60%. That's insane. We're talking a few grams of pressure. That is insane. So getting a child checked gives them the best opportunity going forward for the least amount of negative outcomes skeletally. So that's why I'm huge about getting kids checked and getting kids under care. If you've been coming in this week, you see behind me is this wonderful thing, and it says growing pains are a nasty trick. Treat your child to chiropractic care. Well, why is that? Well, growing pains can cause your child to move abnormally. Knees hurt, hips hurt, feet hurt. Those are very common. Shoulders or elbows hurt because of growing pain, because the metaphysis of the bone, the middle of the bone, is growing and expanding, and it can cause pain, especially at the joint, because the joint has an increased pressure that it's not used to. Getting checked makes sure that those joints are working as they're supposed to. Make sure that the joint has the proper function. You see, here at my family, we check the body from the tip of the head to the tip of the toes. Why? Well, because subluxations in the foot can lead to abnormal function in the hip and pelvis, and can lead to abnormal function in the spine as well. Issues with the shoulder can cause abnormal function with rotation or movement, and it just is a cascade effect. So we check everything. Do we check everything every single visit? No, we don't. However, we can if that's something that you would like. It's amazing what a child can have happen going forward. I have had cases of children with autism who have gone up the spectrum. Okay, so from being lower functioning to being higher functioning after getting adjusted several times. And it's amazing to see that. Now, does that mean that chiropractic care cured autism? Not a bit, but it removed the interference that was helping to cloud the brain and making it harder for that brain to function. I've seen asthma in kids get better. I've seen colitis. I've seen colic. I've seen earaches. I've seen just so many different things get better so quick with kids. It's amazing what the body can do to heal itself if interference from the brain to the body or interference from the body back to the brain is removed. And that's all we do. I don't treat any of those conditions, not a single one. What I treat is the reduction and removal of subluxation, or a misalignment between a joint. That's what I work on. And by doing so, your brain and body communicate better, function better, and therefore you heal better. Chiropractic is not meant to help you feel better instantaneously. It is meant to help you heal better instantaneously. It's amazing what I have seen over my years working with patients, and there's a lot of our offices, ours included, that has a motto of expect miracles. Why? Because they actually do happen. They really do. I have a patient who's in his mid to late 70s who has had knee pain for the past 20 years. Came in and said, is there anything you can do with knee pain? I said, well, it depends on what the cause is. And the cause was subluxation. And lo and behold, his knees don't bother him. Isn't that amazing? Wouldn't it have been amazing to see what that could have happened 70 years prior, so he never had that? I can't tell you how many chiro kids I know that have never taken medication because they've never needed it. How amazing is that? Now, it's not my place to tell you to take or not take, right? And I'm not saying that. I'm saying these people never needed it. They never needed to be put on an antibiotic because they've never gotten sick. Their body healed as it is intended to do. How amazing and how cool is that? Wouldn't you love to have that opportunity for you when you were younger? I know I would. I didn't start under chiropractic care until I was in my mid-20s. And by that time, I had had a massive injury when I was a kid. And my bones started to fuse. If I could have gotten adjusted right after the car accident I was in, that I felt no pain with, by the way, and I felt fine the next day, if I could have been under care immediately following that, the abnormal function between T2 and T6 in my thoracic spine wouldn't have been affected. My asthma wouldn't have gotten much worse. I wouldn't have ended up needing a home nebulizer machine and been hospitalized for asthma. I would have been much better. In fact, fast forward those 10 or so years after that accident, and a year of chiropractic care, heavy amount of chiropractic treatments. And lo and behold, I didn't need my inhaler that often anymore. In fact, after a year of care, I haven't used a rescue inhaler since. Man, I wonder what my life would have been like had my parents taken me to a chiropractor when I was an infant, a very unhealthy infant at that. But you know what? My parents didn't know any better. They weren't like you. They weren't watching things like this and understanding and learning about chiropractic. And that's okay. I don't blame my mom. I don't blame my dad. Not one bit. You can't blame somebody who is legitimately ignorant of what chiropractic can do. That's why we do these classes, because we want to help edify our community so that we can help our community at large not only feel better, but function better. And we're not talking just about movement function in this case. We're talking about physical, chemical, emotional, spiritual, in all ways function better. That's all my hope is for our community, and that's what my hope is for you. So, I will end with this. My challenge for you, if you have a child, call our office, get them checked. Let's see if they even need chiropractic care. As always, our consultations are always no charge in this office. So it is definitely worth getting checked to see if an exam would be a good idea, to see if chiropractic care would be a good option for your child and for you. It's amazing what kids can do and how fast they respond and how fast they rebound. I have children right now that one came in with a foot and ankle issue and plays soccer. After a few adjustments, does not have a problem with that. Yet he says to his parents, I need to go to the chiropractor because I know I do much better when I'm adjusted. How cool is that? He gets it. Most kids do. So I challenge you, if you are a mom, if you are a dad, if you are an aunt or an uncle or a godparent or some sort of a father or mother figure to any child out there, encourage them to get their spine checked by their chiropractor. Give us a call. We'll set up a new patient appointment for you. We'll go through that consultation for you, and we'll figure out if it's a good option for you. I hope to see all of you later tonight and later this week for your adjustment and early next week. And I look forward to meeting so many of your kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, and all of the youth of our community and helping our community start out on the right foot. Thank you very much for attending tonight's class. As always, leave a comment, share this with people. Nobody's talking about this type of stuff. And we want to uplift and edify and help our community. And this is a great way to do that. So share this information, comment if you have any questions, and give us a call and get your kids in and get them checked. I wish you all a beautiful evening. The winds have died down, and we are supposed to have a beautiful weekend. So get out and enjoy the last warm days before the snow starts coming. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.